Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Board of Commissioners meeting for January 28th, 2025. Our first order of business would be to stand to the pledge, so if you're able, please stand and join me for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Second item, agenda review.
Mr. Chair, there are no changes to the agenda today.
Move the agenda.
Second.
I got a motion and a second for the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. At this time, we need to get a motion to recess to go under Economic Development Authority meeting.
Move to recess?
Second.
Got a motion and a second to recess. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We open up our Economic Development meeting. I'll call it to order. Agenda review.
Mr. Chair, there are no changes to the agenda today.
Move the agenda.
Second.
Got a motion and a second for the agenda. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Minutes from January 7th, 2025.
I move the minutes.
Got a second? Got a motion and a second for the minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, Breckenridge and Path Landscaping Phase 2 Feasibility Report. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please introduce yourself for the record.
I'm Luke Peterson with the City of Mankato Facilities Division.
Morning, Luke.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. I'm here to present the project feasibility hearing for the Breckenridge Path Landscaping Project Phase 2 in Eagle Lake, Minnesota at Breckenridge Townhomes. This project includes installing additional mulch beds on the grounds that are consistent with the ones that were installed on an earlier phase in 2023. Replenishing the mulch beds installed in Phase 1 in 2023 and the playground areas, and abandoning underutilized planters between the road and townhomes. This project is expected to take place in the spring or summer of 2025 when weather permits. The project is valued right now at $27,494.78 and will be funded by Blue Earth County EDA capital funds.
All right. Thank you for that report, Luke.
Do you guys have any questions?
Any questions or comments from the board?
No, sounds like a good
Yeah, but-
idea.
Need a
Motion
motion
to-
to approve? So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Got a first and a second. Any discussion, questions or comments?
You
It's
know,
been a real asset to the area, that.
real asset,
Breckenridge.
and any way to make it look nice and comfortable to drive in and be living there, that's a good thing.
All right, I got a motion and a second for the landscaping. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Luke.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
I will-
Move to adjourn.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. We'll move back to our item number 4 on our regular agenda. We welcome to the County Ditch 63 preliminary hearing. Are there any changes to today's agenda?
Mr. Chair, there are no changes.
Okay, being no changes, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The purpose of today's hearing is to present the engineer's preliminary survey report and to receive comments from all parties interested in the proposed improvements on portions of County Ditch 63. The order of business for this meeting will be as follows. Staff will report the jurisdictional documents. We will hear from the appointed engineer, and then we will open it up for public comment. I will ask Ryan Henniker, Blue Earth County Drainage Staff, to review the jurisdictional documents.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, Ryan Henniker, Blue Earth County Drainage Systems Coordinator with the PRR Department. Hearing notices for today were mailed out on January 14th, 2025. Notice was also posted outside of this building, the Blue Earth County Historic Courthouse. Notice for the public hearing was also published in the Mankato Free Press on January 14th of 2025. Informational landowner meeting was held on January 14th, 2025. Preliminary survey report was submitted to staff as well as DNR Region 4 on November 8th, seeking the Commissioner Advisory Report. The DNR Advisory Report for this preliminary engineers report hearing was received last Friday, January 24th, 2025 at 4:19 p.m. I do have the Commissioner's Advisory Report. It is a couple pages, so please bear with me. A letter from the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, Ecological and Water Resources addressed to the Blue Earth County Drainage Authority regarding preliminary engineers report for the improvement of Blue Earth County Ditch 63, CD 63. Blue Earth County Drainage Authority, we appreciate the opportunity to evaluate the preliminary engineers report for the proposed Blue Earth County Ditch 63 improvement project. This advisory report on behalf of the Commission of the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources aims to provide expert insights and recommendations in accordance with the guidelines outlined in Minnesota Statute 103E.225. Excuse me, yeah, .255. The comments in this advisory report are based on a review of the Blue Earth County Ditch 63 Improvement Report dated November 8th, 2024. We greatly appreciate your consideration. Overview. The County Ditch 63 watershed spans approximately 1,313 acres in Decoria Township, Blue Earth County. The area predominantly consists of gently rolling agricultural land draining into a private waterway connecting to the Big Cobb River, located 1.6 miles downstream. Significant erosion near the private waterway is attributed to undersized and failing tile systems within 63. The proposed project aims to improve the mainline tile system at its outlet in the private waterway. Two improvement options are outlined in the report. Option 1, tile replacement enlargement improvement. The mainline and branch tile systems, including branches 4, 5, 6, 9, lateral A, lateral B, and sublateral B, will be replaced and enlarged. Upgraded tiles will consist of solid, non-perforated HDPE or RCP pipes with watertight gaskets designed to achieve a drainage capacity of 0.5 inches per day for improved water management. Option number 2, tile improvements with water storage area. This option includes all improvements from option 1, along with a 2.58 acre water storage area downstream of the tile outlet within the private waterway. The storage area consists of a berm with 48 inches and 60-inch culverts to manage water release, hydraulic impacts, and adequacy of outlet. Under proposed conditions without storage, peak flows increase by 23%, 18%, 10%, and 15% for the 5, 10, 25, and 50-year storm events, respectively. Evaluated turbidity levels and further altering the hydrology will increase stream bed and bank erosion on the Cobb River, which is already impaired by aquatic life and recreation. The proposed storage area reduces peak flow changes to 8%, 0%, negative 8%, and negative 13% for the same storm events, demonstrating significant improvement. Hydrographs for the proposed conditions indicate increases in flow discharge and volume post-peak flow, sustained over a long duration. This will negatively affect water quality in downstream public waters already impacted by altered hydrology, excessive erosion, turbidity, and sedimentation. Design revisions should address detention flow rates to mitigate these effects so that there is no net increase in discharge velocity, volume, or duration for each storm event. Figure 9 in the report indicates existing instability at the outlet. where rock riprap shows signs of inadequacy. Increased flows through this outlet could worsen conditions. The DNR requires additional data to evaluate the outlet adequacy, including a hydraulic model for better analysis, cross sections of the stream, downstream of the outlet, and drone data, if available. Option 2 is preferred due to reduced hydrologic and fluvial geomorphical impacts on fish diversity and habitat in downstream public waters. The proposed storage pond enhances nutrient uptake, nitrogen and phosphorus, reduces total suspended solids, and increases sedimentation and water retention. Please confirm whether landowner agreements are legally secured to facilitate the implementation of this proposed storage area. Because stream flow is strongly connected to streams' physical and chemical characteristics, it is considered a master variable that limits the distribution and abundance of aquatic and riparian species. Changes in hydrologic metrics impact channel stability, stream bank erosion, water quality, infrastructure, land use near rivers and stream, and the health of biological communities. For the Big Cobb River and receiving Le Sueur River, most of these hydrologic metrics are showing more than a 50% increase in the magnitude of change. These include annual discharge, peak discharge, annual runoff ratio, 7-day minimum, August medium, 90% duration, 1.5-year RI flow, annual base flow, 50% flow duration, 10% flow duration, 5-year RI flow, and 3-day maximum. These trends are alarming and are significantly driven by climate, land use, and drainage. Environmental considerations. The Cobb River downstream of the proposed project is impaired for aquatic life and recreation due to elevated phosphorus and nitrates, turbidity, lack of habitat, and altered hydrology. The lower Cobb River watershed is a priority management area in the Le Sueur watershed. Comprehensive watershed management plan. There are no identified environmental considerations within the project boundary. However, the wooded area along the private ditch between the outlet of CD 63 and the Cobb River is a site of moderate biodiversity significance. It contains native mesic hardwood forests with an imperiled conservation status S2. Although this native plant community is outside of the project boundary, the riparian area can be impacted by the proposed improvement through changes in the hydrologic regime. Compatibility of the project with local land use plans. If the storage pond is approved and designed with wetland-like characteristics, in that case, it would help meet measurable goals set in the Le Sueur River Comprehensive Watershed Management Plan. Implement 19 acres of wetland restoration that result in 7 tons TSS per year, 1,800 pounds TN per year, 40 pounds of TP per year. The 2021 source water assessment. City of Mankato Public Works, PWS ID number 1070009, mentions the following. Given the large percentage of cultivated crops, the amount of drain tile present, and the relatively low adoption of cover crops in the DWSMA-SW, this area would benefit from better fertilizer and drainage management practices to help reduce the overall loading effects on Mankato's source water. Proportionally, land areas and cultivated crops for the two areas, 75.1% for the DWSMA-SW and the 78.6% in the more significant watershed, highlighted the influence on drinking water quality that are present for the city of Mankato, as the water chemistry issues noted in the contaminants of concern section are all traced to agricultural practices. Non-point source nitrate is the contaminant of most significant concern for the Mankato Rainy Wells Pesticides are of concern due to their potentially harmful public health effects. Even though CD63 is a small watershed, addressing concerns identified in the source water assessment would be beneficial as part of a much broader effort to address water quality concerns. Public water permit requirements. Option 1 will require a public waters work permit. DNR will also require additional information, including the model cross-sections and updates to evaluate the adequacy of proposed mitigation strategies and the potential impact on receiving public water. A DNR permit may not be required for option 2, however, project updates, including signed landowner agreements for the water storage option, should be provided. Area hydrologist Aaron Jensen is available to ensure compliance with the public waters permit requirements. Please send the response to this letter, the meeting minutes, the finding of fact, the viewer's report, and any order issued by the Drainage Authority regarding the proposed improvement to the DNR when they become available. Please submit these documents to Region 4 drainage.dnr@state.mn.us. Regards, Todd Colander. One final memo for today also. County Ditch 63 watershed is approximately 1,100 acres in size and located in Decoria Township. Petition for improvement was received on April 29th of 2024. On May 14th of 2024, the Drainage Authority appointed Charles J. Brandel, PE of ISG, as the project engineer. Mr. Brandel was ordered to prepare a preliminary survey report. The preliminary survey report was filed with the Blue Earth County Property Environmental Resources Department on November 8th, 2024. The preliminary survey report was also submitted to the Department of Natural Resources staff on November 8th, 2024. On December 17th, 2024, by order, the Blue Earth County Drainage Authority for County Ditch 63 set a hearing date for the preliminary hearing. Action requested at today's meeting, we asked the Drainage Authority to approve the drafted findings in order, appointing viewers to prepare a viewer's report, and direct the engineer to prepare a detailed survey report. Both reports shall be filed with the Drainage Authority upon completion. That is all I have, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you, Ryan, for all those jurisdictional documents. At this point, can I get a motion to accept those into record?
So moved.
Second.
Got a first and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. Now I will ask the ISG staff to come up and review the engineer's report. Just state your name and for your records, please.
Yes. Second. There we go. All right. We're here to go over the preliminary engineer's report for CD63. Chuck couldn't be here today, so you get me. I'm Jen Widmer, Water Resources Engineer at ISG, also the project engineer.
I'm Adam Stenzel. I'm the design engineer on this project.
So you've all sat through a multitude of drainage process meetings, so we are at the preliminary engineer's report or preliminary hearing for this. So no final decision will be made on the project. It's just a checkpoint to see where we are at the process, check in and make sure everything's still feasible. We're here at the preliminary hearing today. Final hearing or final report submitted tentatively in fall depending on the viewer's schedule. Final hearing likely in winter, and then construction next year. I'll have Adam go over the existing conditions.
I'll be going over the existing conditions and capacities. CD63 watershed location and characteristics primarily resides in Decoria Township in Blue Earth County. Provides drainage to approximately 1,313 total acres. There's an elevation difference of approximately 85 feet across the watershed. Hydraulic soil classification is predominantly CD, which is your poorly drained soils. land use is predominantly agricultural row crops. Here's the existing watershed map. The red line that you see is the CD63 watershed boundary, and the black lines that you see is the existing tile. The main line runs from the northeast corner of the watershed down through the Swanson property, across Highway 22 and into the Roeder property, and outlets into the private waterway. The main line, branch 5 and branch 6 all cross Highway 22. Here's the elevation map of CD63. The white and red is your higher elevations, and your green and light blue is your lower elevations. History for CD63 was established in the 1920s. Consisted of the same 40,620 linear feet of branch tile as present. There's no record of improvement on CD63. Repairs consisted of a mainline tile outlet repair and restoration that took place in 2023. And then the mainline branch 5 and branch 6 tile crossings were lowered during Highway 22 reconstruction. Here's some drone photos across CD63. The top left photo, picture number 1, is looking to the northeast over that private waterway on the Roeder property. You can see the riprap there where the mainline tile outlets into that waterway. That was part of the outlet restoration project. You can see the heavy, kind of severe erosion that's taking place across this property. Go to the top right picture, picture number 2. That is looking east across Highway 22, across the Swanson property. There's a lot of overland flow taking place and inundation, a lot of standing water. Picture number 3, the bottom left, is looking now north over the Swanson property and Schenck property. Similarly, you can see the overland flow and inundation. And then picture number 4, the bottom right, is branch 6. Here's some televising photos. Portions of the main line and branch 6 were televised. You can see that in the top left photo, that is the main line. The tile is falling apart, it's cracked. The top right photo, there's some misalignment. It's kind of compressed and fractured. The bottom 2 photos are branch 6. You can see there's a buildup of debris. The tile's misaligned. Existing capacities. These are all the branches and main line of the CD63 system. In general, they're below a ½ inch per day. Specifically, the main line, branch 4, branch 5, branch 6, essentially all the proposed improvement branches are below a ½ inch per day. Cover depth is a big issue on this system. The majority of the system is very, very shallow, so we had to take that into account in our design. And the material, as you can see in the televising photos, is predominantly concrete. I do want to note that these existing capacities, they don't take into account any restrictions or debris, as we saw in the televising photos, that are built up within the existing system. So it's likely that the capacity is lower than what these calculations are actually showing. Getting into our proposed design, we have a handful of criteria that we need to follow in our design. The 103E criteria, the benefits need more than cost, and we need to follow the environmental criteria. The minimum of 4 feet of cover depth across the system. There's actually only a couple spots where it's 4 feet, but the majority of the system with our proposed design is 5 feet or more. Our proposed capacity, we had to size the tile to reach a ½ inch per day drainage coefficient, which is the industry standard. We had to look at the adequacy of the outlet and make sure we have no adverse impacts downstream to receiving waters. And then we also are looking at alternative BMPs that we could implement throughout CD63, such as water quality inlets, storage, wetlands, two-stage ditches, alternative side inlets, cover crops, or controlled drainage. Here's our proposed watershed map. The red boundary being the CD63 watershed boundary. Once again, the black dashed lines is the existing system, and the pink is our proposed system. The blue polygon that you see there up on the map is our proposed storage area, which is located on the Reuter property at the outlet, at the mainline tile outlet within that private waterway. Here's the proposed capacity. We're proposing to improve the mainline branch 4, branch 5, branch 6, branch 9, lateral A, lateral B, and sublateral B tile. You can see the existing drainage coefficients there and our proposed drainage coefficients achieving the 1/2 inch per day. And as I talked about before, depth across the system was improved, meeting that minimum 4 feet of cover with the majority of the system being 5 feet or having 5 feet of cover. The abandonment of existing tile. Improved tile will be installed. The existing tile will be formally abandoned. Once maintenance ceases, the existing tile will function as a private header. There will be cross connects connecting the proposed and existing tile at every property line. And if we can get, we already have some, but if we can get more private tile maps, we'll try to incorporate that in our further design.
Okay, going back a couple of reminders about the system. So as stated in the DNR's report, the CD63 system outlets into a public water or a private open ditch. And then it flows to the Big Cobb River approximately 1.6 miles downstream, so it doesn't directly flow into a public water. And also a note, so in the history we mentioned that the crossings were lowered during when Highway 22 was reconstructed. We've done our design so that we're connecting into the lowered crossings, which is a significant cost saving to the project. Because it's very expensive to bore a large tile under the road. So that it limited the depth we could get across the system a little bit, but largely I think those lowered tiles are adequately sized for a 1/2 inch per day drainage coefficient, and we believe it'll be a benefit to the system with the cost savings. And the proposed system goes from a 24-inch existing to a 36-inch at the outlet. So let's talk about costs. Separable maintenance, or the cost to repair the system, is $1.45 million to just repair same size, just convert everything to HDPE, no change in depth or capacity. The improvement cost is $2.65 million. That is to improve all the branches. It includes the storage pond, and we're still looking for external funding for that, so TBD, that's something we'll be doing some more investigation in as we come on the final report. With the net cost being $1.19 million, the cost difference between repairing the system and improving the system. But we still believe that the cost is, or that the project is cost effective with the project costs, and hopefully we'll have the aid of external funding to help with the storage pond. And there aren't any road authority costs because the road crossings were already done a couple of years ago. We're just connecting into what's there. Proposed storage. Storage benefits, the decreased flows downstream. They help settle out sediment and contaminants in the water, generally positive for habitat. When storage is constructed, the system pays a permanent damage to the landowner, so they're paid for the land. and any temporary damages that are impacted by the construction of the pond. Currently, we are proposing a storage basin in the private open ditch downstream of the outlet. A majority of the drainage system, the CD63 system, is very flat, which makes it pretty challenging to site a storage pond somewhere. So currently, we have a 2.5 acre basin. It would essentially be a widened out portion of the open ditch with a culvert crossing installed downstream to help regulate flows and slow down the water leaving. Permanent damages with including the buffer would be 3.15 acres. So far, this is just a very rough concept. We don't have landowner approval yet, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But that's something that we're going to have to work through moving forward to the next stage. Modeling. So we did a hydraulic model of the system using the ICM software. It shows flooding, duration, time, impact. So on the left is the existing conditions, on the right is the proposed. This is for about 4.4 inches of rainfall or a 10-year event. So you can see from the proposed, generally less standing water on the proposed system, except there's still a couple issues where we aren't doing the improvement, like the improvement doesn't extend far enough to the top right section of the watershed. But in general, like, largely beneficial. The red and the orange is crop loss. Everything less than that, this is a 50-year event, so significant benefits, especially to the middle of the system and along branch 6 to the south. Peak flow rates, so we have two options technically. Option 1 was to do the system without any water storage practices. There was a 23 to 10% increase in flows at the outlet. With that, we saw that we would be blowing out the culvert downstream if we didn't do any storage practices on the system. So really, option 1, we don't recommend because we don't want to impact that crossing, and there's additional erosion concerns downstream. So we are really only proposing the storage option on the system. With the currently designed storage, we're increasing flows by 8% on the 5-year, which isn't too bad, and then we're reducing it for everything else to 13% reduced on the 50-year event. Minor changes in velocity for both options. Elevations are reduced with the storage, which is good because we needed that to prevent any overtopping or washing out of the culvert downstream. Total volume is, we're outputting 6 to 5% more water than the existing system does, but that's the nature of a drainage improvement, to get water off the land faster. So that's another reason why we're doing the storage, to kind of hold back that water to reduce that impact. Multi-purpose drainage management plan. We talked this over with the landowners 2 weeks ago at the landowner meeting. But generally it just talks about preventative measures, different water quality practices they could implement privately on their land. And that was one note that the DNR made, is that yes, like, it would be great if everybody did controlled drainage or minimal tillage, but those aren't practices that the drainage authority can prescribe to the system. So options, opportunities for that were presented to the landowners 2 weeks ago. A couple of comments came up at the landowner meeting. So first of all, we got a request to review the proposed size of branch 6, considering to make the entire branch a 24-inch tile. We are currently working on the model to see what kind of impacts that would have to the larger system. So that's underway. The property owner, Holly Reuter, at the outlet had some concerns about the storage pond, and they do have significant overland erosion from the existing system. We haven't had any serious discussions with them yet. but we talked to them at the landowner meeting, and I'm planning to have a meeting with them in early spring to kind of discuss further options, make sure that they're on board. Prior to the final hearing, we will have a signed storage agreement for wherever the storage may go. We also talked about possibly moving the storage pond higher up in the watershed. So in the next phase of the project, we're going to look at the feasibility of doing a couple different areas. But no hard disapproval for the storages yet, but just some erosion concerns we have to consider. They also suggested extending the public drainage system to the 578th Street crossing. That's the next downstream crossing. So asking the CD63 system to incorporate that currently private open ditch. Talks about that are ongoing with the recent DNR report citing that the wooded area along the waterway is protected or of significant biological conditions. It's maybe less likely that we're going to extend the public drainage system, but that's something that talks are underway about. DNR comments, we did have an early coordination meeting with them at the end of October. They were generally favorable about the project, especially considering that we're really pushing for storage on the system. They provided a couple alternative storage options, and then we discussed how far downstream the model was going to be done. But overall, generally favorable. Ryan read out the advisory report. There's a lot in there about concerns about the river, turbidity, nutrients. Seeing that we are proposing to move forward with the storage option on the system, they said that likely the storage option won't need to get a public waters work permit, and that'll mitigate the impacts of the drainage system. So generally viewing this letter as positive, that they're happy to move forward and that we're pushing forward with storage on the system. So in conclusion, the existing system, it's old, it's failing, it's not very deep. We've gotten a lot of landowner complaints about how it's currently functioning. There's a lot of flooding. The improvement will help establish a new drainage system to increase farmability of the watershed. The proposed system with storage will reduce peak flow rates and reduce erosion concerns downstream. The project as presented is cost-effective, practical, and feasible, and its necessity has been presented, and the project will be a public benefit and contribute to the public welfare of the area, and therefore the project should be considered for preliminary approval as described in the preliminary engineer's report and presented. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jen and Adam, for that report. Any questions from the board at this time? Okay. At this time, we'll open it up to public comment. If you would like to make a comment, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Comments from the public are expected to be civil and respectful. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and there is a 5-minute time limit. The county administrator will give you a 1-minute warning and let you know when you've used your allotted time. In addition, the Blue Earth County may restrict or limit the time allotted to a person whose remarks are repetitive or not relevant to the matter under the consideration by the board. At this time, is there anyone that would like to comment on the engineer's report that was just reported? Anyone wishing to comment at this time? Last time, anyone wishing to comment? Seeing no public comment, I will bring it back to the county board for discussion. Any other questions or comments? Pretty long project. Thank Jen and Adam for working on it. If there's no other questions, we'll move on. Can I get a motion and a second to accept the detailed findings and orders approved by the engineers?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. At this point, this will conclude our County Ditch 63 preliminary hearing. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Thank you, Jen and Adam, for the report. Keep us posted. All right, we have a few more ditch items to deal with. That item number 5 on our agenda. So I will let you go through those, Ryan.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I have 3 back-to-back appointments for redetermination of benefits. So let's start with County Ditch 66. Blue Earth County Ditch 66 watershed is approximately 780 acres in size and is located in Beaufort Township. Current benefits listings was created in 1921, and a redetermination of benefits is required to reflect present-day land values. Requesting today that the Blue Earth County Drainage Authority order an appointment of viewers to complete the redetermination of benefits for County Ditch 66.
Move to
Thank you,
approve.
Ryan.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right, moving along, County Ditch 73. Blue Earth County Ditch 73 watershed is approximately 750 acres in size and located in Lyra Township. Again, the current benefit listing was created in 1928, and a redetermination of benefits is required to reflect present-day land values. At today's meeting of the Blue Earth County Drainage Authority, we are requesting an order to appoint viewers to complete a redetermination of benefits for County Ditch 73.
Thank you, Ryan.
So moved.
Second.
Got a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right, final one involves Judicial Ditch 21. Blue Earth Judicial Ditch 21 watershed is approximately 1,900 acres in size, located primarily in Lyra Township. Current benefit listing was created in 1917, and a redetermination of benefits is required to reflect present-day land values. Request at today's meeting of the Blue Earth County Drainage Authority, you are requesting an order to appoint viewers to complete a redetermination of benefits for Judicial Ditch 21.
So moved.
Second.
Got a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ryan, for that
Thank you.
report.
Ryan.
Appreciate it. The next item on our agenda is planning and zoning. The planning and zoning staff are here to present these action items. This is a public hearing. Public will be allowed to comment in just a moment. Comments from the public are expected to be civil and respectful. Please note this meeting is being recorded and there's a 5-minute time limit. The county administrator will give you a 1-minute warning when you have let you know when you use your allotted time. In addition, the board may restrict or limit the time allowed in persons whose remarks are repetitive and not relevant to the matter under consideration by the board. I'll ask George to give us a report and identify yourself, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm George Leary with Blue Earth County Planning and Zoning. PC 01-25 is a request from Blue Earth County for review and approval of an amendment to Chapter 24 zoning. The proposal includes amendments to the elder care, dependent care standards of the ordinance. Staff provided the report. One public citizen attended the meeting and thanked the Planning Commission for the review of the amendment. There was some discussion by the Planning Commission on the requirements for the conversion back to a single-family dwelling. Planning Commission members did not have any other concerns or questions regarding the proposed amendment and indicated their appreciation for the methodology and reasoning used by staff in developing the ordinance. Following the discussion, the Planning Commission voted unanimously to forward a recommendation of approval to the County Board based on the findings recommended by staff, and the board action is passage of the resolution based on the recommendation of the Planning Commission. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, George. Anyone wishing to comment on PC 01-25, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Anyone wishing to comment on PC 01-25? Last time, anyone wishing to comment on PC 01-25, please come to the podium. See no public comment, I'll close the public portion of the hearing and bring it back to the county board for action.
Move to approve.
Got a first? Got a second? Any discussion? I'll just elaborate a little bit on the discussion at the Planning and Zoning Board. We were very appreciative of the staff looking at this, because from my understanding, we had several variances that were just a little bit, it wasn't just enough room to make it work. So appreciate the staff taking the time and the effort to notice that and move forward with this. I think it's been a good program. Any other comments? Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, George. You got a couple other items to report on?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, there were just two other items that were discussed at the Planning Commission meeting, and there were discussions regarding future amendments to the ordinance, and they will both be coming in February. The first one is an adaptive reuse ordinance, and that has been a long time in the making over the past year of discussion by staff. And then the second one is an amendment to the home occupations section of the ordinance to allow outdoor storage. And they'll both be coming to the Planning Commission and the County Board for formal action in February.
Yep, we have a little bit of an update after the meeting last month. So we'll see that. And we've talked about that at some work sessions also. So.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right. Thank you, George.
Thanks, George.
All right. At this time, we'll move on to item number 7 on our agenda, Property Environmental Services. Mr. Michael Stahlberger.
Morning, Michael.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's been a while for me to be here.
Yeah.
We have staff out on
Had to wait
field
for us to
trips
save it
today.
from our money, huh?
Exactly right, exactly right. Well, good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. I'm Michael Stahlberger, Director of Property and Environmental Resources. For the record, I do have 3 items here for you today. First item in your packet, item 7, is related to a planned construction at the landfill. This is being called Cell 4B, 5B, and 7B. It continues to backfill on our cell construction plan as we kind of work our way back and fill in all the space we have out there that is permitted. So this would be a project that would start this summer, would be completed yet here in 2025 as well. It is approximately 3¼ acres of land. Will provide us with just under 200,000 cubic yards of space for mixed municipal solid waste. And it does have an estimated price tag of about $940,000. That's our contractor's estimate. Under state law, we have the ability to go directly to qualified bidders for projects of the technical nature at the landfill. That price is significantly higher than our per unit cost of previous cell constructions in 23 and also in 2019. And that is due to some deferred maintenance on some of our leachate management systems out there. So we've worked that in there to gain some efficiencies in mobilizing crews and whatnot. So while it comes in at almost double per cubic yard for construction, we do have those added costs built into there. So I would welcome a motion for any additional questions. Otherwise, we would be looking for approval to authorize the county administrator and/or myself to move forward with the agreements necessary to complete the construction project as designed by our engineer.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Questions, comments? Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item number 8. So we opened a new cell, and now we want to talk about closing some cells. So closure of cells at the landfill is part of a regular maintenance program, and it is also required by our permits through the MPCA. What closure of the cell allows us to do is actually divert rainwater or stormwater from leachate and turn it into actual stormwater to be conveyed through our systems there. We are behind in our closure processes at the landfill, and so what we're bringing forward here today is a proposal to close 6¼ acres of our current working phase so that we can actually get to the final cover on there and turn, again, like I said, into rainwater and stormwater rather than call it leachate. That is part of our long-term plan to try to better manage our leachate and also get ahead of PFAS, which we'll be talking about in the next item. More of the material that we can actually keep in the stormwater process is better for us out there. So this is also an expensive project. The engineer's estimate of cost on this is just under $1.4 million. It is something that we've budgeted for quite some time. We just have not actually had the expertise and kind of the know-how out there to take it on. And now that we can manage that better with our staff, we're ready to do some of this. So this time, the motion would be to authorize our department to move forward with the actual closure process, again, to be completed in 2025. also benefiting from the mobilization of the same company out there. So a little bit of some cost savings.
All right, you heard the request. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Got a second? Any discussion? Lots going on out there this summer.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
going to be a busy place, for sure. The last item I have for
Oh,
you,
I
folks.
gotta get the vote
Oops,
first.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. So if there's no other questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
I was just so excited to try to
Yes.
bring money in now instead of just spend it. All right, sorry about that. Item number 9 for you, last item we have. This item, I'll admit, is a little bit of rework. We brought forward a request to apply for a grant through the MPCA at a previous board meeting. And just after we did all of that work, the MPCA actually released a second grant that actually provides us with better matching opportunities. So we are asking here to apply for a second grant and undo the resolution to approve the first grant so that we can shift it around. So follow along with me here. We have 2 projects that we'd like to complete related to PFAS or forever chemicals. That has been in the news. The legislature's paid an awful lot of attention to that the last couple of years. The landfill is a receiver of PFAS materials, and we also look like we're going to be stuck holding the buck on treating that and actually finding a way to manage through PFAS. And so the MPCA is providing a couple of grants. We identified 2 projects to utilize these grant opportunities. And the first one is a technology pilot project. We're calling that Project 1, to actually figure out how to take PFAS out of the leachate that's generated at the landfill. The pilot project will actually bring in some of the emerging technologies that exist now to actually try to do some treatment out there and see what is going to be most cost effective and bring us the best bang for a buck there, and also protect the environment. So some pretty lofty goals there. This project is going to cost just under $240,000. And so this is the one we asked you to approve before, but now we want to switch it to the newer grant opportunity so we can get better coverage of the cost on it. Okay? Project 2 is related to identifying where PFAS is entering the landfill. And this was a project that we were going to defer until they opened up the new grant opportunity. And so now we're going to actually apply for both of them, but bring this one under that original grant, just because the cost is a little bit lower, and so we'll have a better match on that. So 2 separate projects here. Both of them would be applicable to the grant opportunities that exist. And the resolution before you is to allow us to apply for those 2 grants now, and then also use Ponderosa Enterprise funds to cover the local matches on them. Local match is still 10%, no changes there. So if we would be awarded both grants and complete both projects, we'd be looking at a local cost of about $54,000, inclusive of time and materials on the landfill staff already, so we would be able to absorb some of that just in our daily operational cost as well. So pretty tight turnarounds on the grants. Projects would be completed over the next 18 months or so, all with that ultimate goal or objective of actually identifying how we'll manage PFAS at the landfill, which will be a very costly enterprise or endeavor for us to do, and something that we'll have plenty more discussions about with the board here in the next year or 2. Any questions on that, or else we'd entertain the motion there to allow us to do kind of a reapplication, new application, and then also expend local resources to cover the match.
I'll move it.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Are there any questions or comments, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very
There you
much.
go. Thank you for all that.
Thanks.
All right, this time we'll move on to item number 8 on our agenda, the Public Works. Ryan Tilges. Good morning.
Morning. Morning, Ryan.
All right, I know we're pushing for time, so I'll try to go through my items relatively quickly. We have a pretty robust agenda today due to missing the meeting 2 weeks ago. First action item is consideration of a resolution authorizing the application for Minnesota Department of Natural Resource Funds for Daly Park playground equipment and execution of necessary agreements. This is for an updated competitive grant agreement to provide partial funding for the replacement of the playground equipment at Daly Park.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second for some playground equipment. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right, I'll bundle number 2 and number 3 together because they're the same item. The first is a resolution amending contract number 1058209 with MnDOT And the second is the actual amendment to contract 1058209 with MnDOT. The amendment revises the federal identification number. Federal funding percentages is increased up to 81.42% and updates the contract amount to the current revised contract amount. This is for the preliminary engineering for replacement of the County State Aid Highway number 9 bridge. So with that, I would request approval of action items number 2 and 3, resolution and amendment number 1.
All right, everybody understand the motion? We're going to combine the two.
Yep, I'll move it.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Action item number 4, consider the final contract payment for county projects 2174 and 2177 for box culvert replacements on County Road 174 and 177. R&E Enterprises of Mankato was the prime contractor. Original contract amount $375,543.48. Total final contract payment amount $350,302.53.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Both those projects turned out very nice. I've been out and seen them both, so. I got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right, action item number 5, consider final contract payment for state aid project 007598035 for bridge replacement on County Road 146 over Perch Creek. Everstrong Construction of Redwood Falls was the prime contractor of the original contract amount, $672,783. Final total amount paid to date, $668,913.65.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Next action item is consideration of bids for County State Highway 14. And shoot, I'm realizing I don't think I have the 10 copies of this one for the bid abstract. I can route a copy that commissioners can have. I apologize for that. I had them. We had several bids. This is for County Project 2184, County Road 184, box culvert replacement project. Our engineer's estimate was $159,541. Of the numerous bids received, Selly Excavating was the apparent low bidder at $182,713, which was 14.52% over our estimate. Estimates ranged from 14.52% over to 243% over the engineer's bid. So it's a little bit of a swing, but not terribly significant. With that, I would recommend award of this contract to Selly Excavating.
All right, do I have a motion to do that?
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
There's a copy of that for you. I apologize, I did have it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right, action item number 2, consideration of contract award for state aid project 007-614-017. That is the second one I'm passing around. Project bid abstract. This is for replacement of Cassaw 14 bridge north of Minnesota Lake. On this project, again, received several bids. Engineer's estimate, $399,773.25. The apparent low bidder on this was R&E Enterprises of Mankato, $270,394, so significantly under, 32.36% under the engineer's estimate, and that was the low end. The high end was 2.74% under estimate, so dramatic savings on this project. I recommend award to R&E Enterprises of Mankato.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right, and the last contract bid award for consideration is for state aid project 007-682-011 for reconstruction of Cassaw 82 Victory Drive from south of Main Street to Fair Street. The engineer's estimate was $2,729,292.50. We received 3 bids with Wendell Lawrence Construction, the low bidder, $2,668,341.25, 2.23% under estimate, with Dirt Merchant coming in second at 0.24% under the estimate, and OMG Midwest, AKA Minnesota Paving Materials, 8.21% over the estimate. We have not worked with Lawrence on a project of this magnitude and complexity. We really have only worked with them as a contractor who's done gravel crushing for us and providing materials. So I don't have a premise for their, we don't have a working history of their project management or their capacities. When we break this down and look at the work that we anticipate they will do, it's really likely the demolition, the grading, and the aggregates, with specialty contractors obviously doing the concrete paving, the signals, the lighting, things of that nature. So I don't believe we have a premise to not award to Lawrence or a basis to do so. So with that, I would think we should award to Wendell Lawrence Construction.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right. Action item number 9 is consideration of a professional services agreement for preliminary and final engineering, design engineering for State Aid Project 007609015. This is for the County State Aid Highway 9 bridge over the Blue Earth River. We received 3 very good proposals. We're fortunate with that. Staff evaluated the scoring, which is broken down and included in your packet. They were evaluated based on project understanding, background and experience, their proposed work plan, and the general quality of their response. We received proposals from Bolton & Mink, SRF, and TKDA. TKDA was selected by staff based on their proposal and has completed their disadvantaged business enterprises and pre-award audit approvals with MnDOT, and we are authorized to execute the contract. The key TKDA contract, included in the board packet, includes a breakdown of their cost, project costs by the different categories. And the board will notice that there's a breakdown of optional tasks. There includes $127,000 of optional tasks, which are Exhibit 8-2, are further broken down. And in that exhibit, those tasks include possibility of bid letting services, noise analysis, weekly check-in meetings, construction scheduling, construction management plans, quality assessment and assistance, as well as park design. So those are tasks that are available to the county should we elect to utilize TKDA to perform them, but we are not obligated to do so. Okay. The total contract amount for TKDA is $2,557,758. This contract will be paid with Federal Highway Administration and MnDOT ER funding. I would recommend award of this contract to TKDA.
So moved.
You heard the request? Got a second? Got a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right. The second one, and this is why I'm not here at my regular meeting, because we were waiting to get these finalized, is consideration of the award for professional engineering services for preliminary and final design for removal of the Rapidan Dam. 2 proposals were received with staff evaluation scoring included in the packet. Bar Engineering was the clear and present better proposal in staff's opinion. The Bar contract also includes $911,000 of optional tasks detailed in attachment 4 that, again, the county may elect to perform depending on the project needs. Those tasks include bidding construction services and construction observation, so people actually on the ground during the project, park planning and trail development, hazardous material abatement assessment if we encounter hazardous materials on site. Then we're just talking about PFAS, other things of that nature, and as well as value-based engineering workshop. The base contract is $1,473,000 for all the items listed above of that. And the total, including optional tasks, $2,384,000. With that being said, the FEMA has not fully approved, obviously, the reimbursement for the dam incident. We're still working through that process. We do anticipate that this contract cost will be eligible for reimbursement with FEMA after everything is said and done. We went through federal procurement process in order so that that would be the case. We've shared this agreement, or these proposals and our process with the FEMA staff to ask for any concerns or issues that we need to be made aware of, and they were supportive of our process.
I'll move it.
Got a motion, of a second? Any discussion? Be nice to get rolling on that.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm very eager to get the assistance on it.
All right, I got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right. Action item number 11 came to us relatively quickly. With the award of the Victory Drive construction project, we realized that we need to revise the cooperative construction agreement for CSAH 82 in Mankato. It's being revised simply to update the noted project costs for Project B, including the updated increase in City of Mankato cost share. The signals came in more. And the previous agreement had a threshold that if it was to be exceeded, required approval of the city. So in doing so, we're going to update the cooperative construction agreement that was previously entered into for both projects to reflect those revised costs in action item number B. This was on the consent agenda for the City of Mankato last night.
Okay, you heard the request.
I'll move it.
Second.
Got a motion and a second for the agreement. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Quickly go through some informational updates on the County Stated Highway 9 bridge demolition. Vite, who is a subcontractor to Hosier Worldwide, is planning to sever and fell the bridge beams with explosive charges later this week. We've been working with our communications manager and the county sheriff's office, as well as the contractor, to ensure that that goes as smoothly as possible. County State Highway 5 from Riverfront Drive to Summit Avenue. Project design is progressing well. The City of Mankato is working on evaluating their trunk sewer line needs. The scope of work could greatly affect the overall project cost and schedule depending on the utility extents, sizes, and depths. CSAH 15 and 28 project in St. Clair. Project design is progressing well and should be on track to begin construction this spring. CSAH 13 from US 169 to CSAH 10, the project that was open to traffic last fall. The Minnesota Pollution Control Agency conducted site inspections following severe rainfall events over the course of the summer. And as a result of that, they've subsequently issued an administrative penalty order to the county for $16,593 and to the contractor for $22,125. The county and our contractor have been in frequent communication with the MPCA objecting to their proposed penalties. We have an administrative hearing to appeal the administrative penalty order, which has been scheduled for February 3rd. So I'll continue to keep the board updated on that. We're very frustrated with what we believe is a lack of partnering and lack of acknowledgement of all of the efforts that we made to rectify the situation as soon as we were made aware of them. We spent a significant amount of money in erosion control and other measures trying to mitigate this as quickly as possible, and we don't believe that that's been acknowledged adequately. On County State Highway 10 from the west line to 20, project design is still underway. Actually, project design is near completion. Right-of-way acquisition is moving right along. CSAH 40 slope repair, project design is nearly completed. The project memorandum was submitted prior to the December deadline. And on 10, from Vernon Center to 1 mile east, including the bridge replacement, plans are nearly complete, and we'll begin right-of-way acquisition after that's done. Maintenance crews have been working on FEMA submittals and cleaning up all of the different categories of work and the documentation necessary. There will be some separate trail projects that still require completion next year. Crews will be working out at Daly Park, trimming and removing primarily ash trees. They're also cutting and trimming right-of-way throughout the county for safety and sightline improvements. We're stockpiling recycled asphalt from our pit by Kasota to the Prang Pit to use for shouldering for work this summer due to the upcoming closure of Highway 22. With the recently cold temps, we've also been cleaning equipment and updating things within the shops. When the temps have been warm enough that we've been out blading washboarded areas on gravel roads if we have adequate moisture. Also stockpiling maintenance gravel, and mechanics have been busy fixing up. They recently, they found a 1976 in the shed. A Unit 121 is a 1976 Ford distributor truck. They're going to try to get it running and get it at least somewhat operational so we can sell it on Minbit. Otherwise, it's just scrap. So cleaning house a little bit before we move to the new shop. Last but not least, I don't think they're going to sink too
Where's
much
that been hiding?
way back in the corner, I guess.
Must have been way back.
An update memorandum. I know we're short on time. There was a memorandum regarding the Rapidan Dam. Summary memorandum of all of our conversations was included in the board packet. I won't go through that. A lot of it has been just kind of continuing to provide pressure to FEMA to see where they're at. They're still developing their detailed damage description, quantities, which then will lead us to a cost estimate. I did include in the very back a flow chart. Everybody loves flow charts for the board's information, and it shows you where the detailed damage description, we're kind of in that phase 3 of 7 phases to show you where we're at in space. I found that very helpful for myself, so I thought the board might find that interesting. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, that concludes my report, and I'll see you at the work session.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, we will move on to item number 9, Mr. Phil Clausen from Human Services.
Good morning.
Good morning, Phil. Good morning, Phil.
I also have several action items that I'll start with, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, and then move quickly through the informational items. If you have any questions, you can certainly stop me at any point. First section, Mr. Chair, is financial assistance, and there's one item there, ACC, Midwest Transportation, and this is a transportation contract for medical and dental appointments for medical assistance individuals. The term is January 1st of 25 through December 31st of 25. We do use mandated state rates for that contract. The next section is mental health center, and the first item is South Central Community-Based Initiative, the psych formula. This is our large contract for psychiatric medication for the mental health center, amount of $551,693, and it is based on services provided. The agreement term is October 1st of 24 through September 30th of 25. This next contract is Central Minnesota Mental Health Center. It's a backup detox contract, and there's actually 3 of these. So this is the first of those. It's when Brown County, our primary facility, is full and we don't have any capacity. This one is in Waite Park, and it's $1,000 a day. You will see variance in the rates, so we try to practice smart in that regard, but a lot of times it is a desperate situation to try to find a safe bed for somebody that's intoxicated. It is the same rate as 24, and the term January of 25 through December 31st of 25. The next contract is related, but it is for the Mankato Department of Public Safety, for transportation, for detox, for those individuals found in the city limits of Mankato. The rate is $105.56 per hour, 8% increase based on the wage increase for officers in the city of Mankato this past year. That also includes the IRS rate for mileage, depending on where the transportation is going. And the term is January 1st of 25 through December 31st of 25. The next 2 contracts are the additional detox backup contracts, New Life Treatment Center at $450 per day. That is no change in rate from previous year. Term is January 1st, 25 through December 31st, 25. That facility is in Woodstock, Minnesota, which is kind of between Pipestone and Slayton. And then the final backup detox contract is Zumbro Valley. We've had a backup contract with them for some time, $460 per day. Term is January 1st, 25 through December 31st, 25, located in Rochester, Minnesota. The next section is behavioral health. 2 items related to our initiative, South Central Community-Based Initiative. The first is our large contract, and if you look at the bottom of the contract, you'll see the totals, $825,386.42 for 1 year and double that amount for 2 years. In the narrative, you'll see there is a breakout for $23,000 a year for our clubhouse for 2 years, so 46 in aggregate. And the term is January 1st of 25 through December 31st of 26. And then finally, there was additional money available this year, which got split up through the partner counties, and it is for provision of mental health services for those with serious and persistent mental illness, not to exceed $60,362, and the term of that contract is from January 1st of 25 through December 31st of 26. And finally, public health. MTRAC vaccine registry and our grant for this service to improve immunization rates. We did talk, I don't know if it was a couple months ago, about this circumstance where we've been cut significantly without much money to start. So this is a renewal for 6 months of $8,000, a decrease of 36% from the previous year. The partner counties have, brought this to the Joint Powers Board and are considering, viability and sustainability into the future. So we'll be in touch with the board regarding that. It's kind of a hard thing. It's been a really good partnership, a lot of good faith, but we're just not being supported. And we could go our separate ways is one of the options. They have not announced the new money yet, so I can't give you any perspective on this one. The term, again, January 1st of 25 through June 30th of 25. And those are my action items, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, Phil. Do you have a motion to accept the action items?
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions or comments on any of the items?
I did notice one rather large amount there, $1,000 a day.
Yeah.
I imagine that'd be the absolute last option that we would take.
Right. We try to be smart about that decision, Mr. Commissioner. I do think sometimes that depends on where they are and other things, but there are times where a lot of people are full, and so I think that's why we need that much of a step down of those facilities. But yeah, we try to use the more cost-effective ones first.
And we don't pay any of that unless we use it, correct?
Correct, right.
Has there been numerous times or amount of times when the new home detox has been filled? Yeah,
it really has been an issue historically. It used to be a bigger issue, and you would know about this, Commissioner, like during homecoming week, things like that, where all of them fill up. I think that's been less common lately, in the last few years, but there are just high tides, and we joke about full moon and blah, 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 but it happens. It's just, there's times where it's just a flood of people that are consuming too much alcohol usually, and it fills up all those beds, but yeah.
I would expect that last year they had a large amount of reconstruction going on, and that did shorten up the amount of space. But now that it should be completed, and hopefully they have enough space that we don't have to drive folks more than the 30 miles to New Ulm.
Right, because even that is a bit of a burden on law enforcement. We know that. The quality of the service we get there, we've been very pleased with. I think the access is not usually much as far as problematic, and then I think the bed availability has been not a huge constant problem. So I think that addition really has helped too. But yeah, by far our preferred provider, the business deal, it's by far the best business deal we have as well. So
thank you very much.
Other questions for Phil on the action items? Hearing none, I got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
I am going to move through Kelly's slides here for public health, and I know the board is familiar with many of these areas of our practice that we provide to the community. If there is any questions or if I'm rushing too fast, please let me know. It's important to us, and a lot of good work goes into these charts, summary charts, so I'll just make my way through and see if there's more that's needed. The first slide is about WIC. Women, Infants, and Children is what WIC stands for. Obviously, it's for healthy food packages where people are issued that qualify a WIC card that they can redeem at grocery stores, and it includes the farmer's market. You'll see the numbers year over year. You'll see a blip up on the 2023 year, which was about COVID. And then when unwinding happened, we went from a remote option, which people seem to enjoy and utilize, to in-person model again. So that's why you see that go up and then down again. Just using the 24 numbers though for the board, just to have a scope, you know, that 13,000 number is 263 visits per week. So it's a busy clinic that we have. I think it serves a lot of people very well. The next slide is maternal child health nursing. This is another one that sometimes is behind the scenes, but our nurses help in public health moms and babies from before they're born all the way through postpartum. Once they're born, you'll see that breakout according to those different areas that they serve. Just the snapshot is they do look at general health or concerns, breastfeeding, coordinating care in the community if there's any special needs, lead poisoning, and then we do hearing and special needs work as far as referrals as well if any concerns are there with the baby. The next slide, Public Health Emergency Preparedness, our acronyms, we call this FEP, and there is our Response Sustainability Grant that's also mentioned here that helps us do this work. The categories I'll just read to the board here are infectious disease threats, and specifically influenza, measles, monkeypox, and COVID. Mass casualty events where we coordinate with our partners in the community and from the state to prepare for anything that may happen. And so with emergency preparedness planning, checklists, and initial stages response, and we do tabletop exercises, and so we drill on some of this. And then we have the HAN Alert Network, which we get HAN alerts, and Public Health has a responsibility to forward these alerts within 1 hour to our partners in the community. You'll see some numbers just as far as how many alerts we get per year. And it's not a striking number, but even one per month. It's nice to know trends that are out there, threats that are out there, so it's useful information. The next slide is communicable disease and infectious disease. COVID-19 response and recovery obviously has been a very big issue for us in these past years. Measles as well, and just a highlight on the highly infectious nature of measles. People are contagious before symptoms appear, and they remain contagious up to 2 hours in an area. So after they leave the area, the germs are still there, is what that's saying. So it's highly contagious, and you'll see a lot of energy about any kind of threat for a measles outbreak because of some of that infection rate. And it's also just the comment that it affects 9 out of 10 unvaccinated people usually do get sick if they get exposed. So it's just very contagious, concerning disease. The vaccine is very effective. We always get our plug in for that mission as well. And then pertussis, it's a bacterial lung infection, usually impacting preteens, but it also can affect other ages, including little children, and then obviously us as adults as well. And it can be a threat, even though it's more common in the teenage range. You'll see some of the numbers back to measles on the right column, and you'll see that the numbers were very high in 2024, and that's a statewide number. We did not have an outbreak here, but there were times that we were on high alert because something was going on or a case was suspect. This next, I guess it's the last slide, is very involved. It could easily be a work session if any of you are interested in us unbundling this for your information. It's the different grants that we get, and we've had enough conversations lately that they're very complex. There's a lot of rules, and there's a prescriptive quality about a number of these grants and what we can and can't do. And that becomes really hard to manage, actually, because there's times we have money, but we can't get it out the door, or we don't have staff time to get it out the door. And so those kinds of corners we get in are difficult. But the names of those, there's a local public health grant, there's a foundational public health grant, and then the CHIP plan that we do is an important kind of projective looking at what we plan to do that we run by the state. And you'll also see the CDC infrastructure grant listed. So just for the sake of time, I won't go into any of those in any depth, but we certainly are willing to do so if the board would ever want more information on how those grants are managed. It's a tough one, I will say, from my chair. You know, the reliance we have on our supervisors to be the technical experts, I would really want Kelly to be there to help us try to sort through it if you have specific questions. That's what I had for the board today.
All right, thank you, Phil. Any questions for Phil?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very, very informative. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you all for your support.
Thank you.
Have a good day, Phil.
Thank you, too.
All right, we'll move down to item 10 on our agenda, administration.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, the first item is the county board minutes for January 7th.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second for the minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Next are the bills for the 3 weeks indicated.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to pay the bills. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, item number 14 in your packet is the Human Resources Department agenda. I have one action item for the board's consideration today, and that is authorization for the county board chair and county administrator to sign an agreement with the Law Enforcement Labor Services Local 440. This would be a collective bargaining agreement for calendar years 2025 through 2027. So a 3-year agreement has been negotiated. I'll run through a couple other provisions in this proposed collective bargaining agreement. We have adjusted the time of pay for the canine handler from 2 hours a week to 3.5 hours per week, or basically a half-hour day for the care of the canine. We also have modified some language for excess vacation being transferred to a healthcare savings plan. The previous language had that happening after 13 years of service. We've adjusted that downward to 10 years of service. That allows 40 hours to be converted. We also made some adjustments to the health savings account contribution that the employer makes to be consistent with other bargaining groups. We have general wage adjustments at 3.25% for 2025, which is consistent with other bargaining groups. And then for 26 and for 27, a 3.5% general wage adjustment for each of those 2 years. We also have modified the shift differential to $1.25 and modified the time that employees are eligible for that shift differential. It's always been from 5 p.m. to 7 a.m., I believe, and now on the weekend, basically from 5 p.m. Friday all the way till 7 a.m. Monday. So all the hours on the weekend will now be subject to that shift differential. And then there were a number of language changes throughout the contract. One other provision that was included as a new provision is the Paid Family Medical Leave Act, which goes into effect 1/1 of 26. We did negotiate a 50/50 cost share of that required fee. And then we also modified some language around the earned sick and safe time to indicate that these particular employees are not eligible to receive ESST for the closure of a school or place of care due to weather because of their 24/7 need in the public safety area. So we're recommending approval of this collective bargaining agreement as proposed.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the contract. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Under informational items, we did have a resignation of a maintenance technician 2 in our Public Works department, so we've initiated recruitment to refill that position. We also have filled a maintenance technician 1 in the Public Works department. Then we had a couple of promotions in our behavioral health case management to a mental health professional area in human services. And then we filled a social worker, a Min Choices assessor, again in human services. So I'd be happy to answer any questions the board might have on any of those items.
Any questions on the informational items?
All right, item number 15 in your packet then is a resolution regarding the publication of the delinquent tax list. This is a requirement in statute, even though the board approved the bids that we were received at the last meeting. We missed that we needed to do it as a resolution rather than a motion, so we're bringing it back for kind of clarification of that.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second for the resolution. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 16 is a memo regarding County Extension Committee appointments. The Regional Extension Director has requested that 3 people be appointed to the County Extension Committee. The names are listed there. Kimberly Nielsen from Commissioner District 4, Eric Fleming, also from Commissioner District 4, and then Cinda Wallace from Commissioner District 5. So recommending approval of those 3 individuals.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yep, Mr. Chair. I would just put out, I believe Cinda Wallace is District 4 and
And
Kim
Kimberly is
Nielsen
5.
is District 5.
I think.
Unless she moved in the last week or so.
All right, we'll double check that.
Yeah. I wasn't sure about Cindy, but I thought Kimberly was from 5. Okay.
Supportive either way.
Yes, yes, good candidates. I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 17 in the packet then is a memo from the sheriff regarding the Emergency Management Performance Grant. We have been awarded a grant in the amount of $37,245 with a 1-for-1 match to that amount. This is effective basically starting way back in January of 2023 through June 30th of 25. So recommending approval of this grant.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the grant? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries.
That's all I have for you, Mr. Chair.
All right, with that, we will do our committee reports. Patty, I will start with you today.
All righty. January 8th, I attended the virtual meeting of the Rural Action Caucus at NACO. On the 16th, I had a training with AMC. On the 22nd, training with AMC. Monday the 27th, the AMC update, legislative update, and on the afternoon of the 27th, I had my NACO FICA committee, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Patty. Vance?
On the 8th, I had a community corrections meeting. On the 9th, we had a Highway 169 corridor officers meeting and the mayors and clerks meeting in Mapleton. On the 10th, I attended a lunch at the library for a member that was 70 years of age, and she is the chair of Friends of the Library, Colleen. Really nice event. On the 13th, I had my detox board meeting in New Ulm. And on the 16th, I had a Traverse des Sioux board meeting. And I followed that up with a Minnesota Transportation Alliance board meeting. On, let's see here. On the 24th, I had an MSSA legislative breakfast, Zoom. And yesterday, we again had another legislative update from AMC on a Zoom meeting. And that's the end of my report.
All right, thank you, Vance. Mark?
Let's see, on the 8th in January, did have a joint drainage meeting, and then also just later then mayor and clerks in Mapleton. And that really concludes my report.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Kevin?
Since our January 7th board meeting on the 8th was a RAC update, on January 9th I participated in the drainage work group meeting as well as mayors and clerks that evening. January 14th was a CD 77 landowner ditch meeting. On the 16th, a CD 60 landowner meeting. January 22nd, I participated with Administrator Meyer on the new chair panel up at AMC for the training. 23rd was the Governor Waltz press conference. 24th, Le Sueur River, One Watershed, One Plan meeting, as well as AMC board meeting. On the 27th, yesterday, we had the Blue Earth, One Watershed, One Plan Policy Committee meeting, and then participated in the PACE Committee meeting and Rural Minnesota Energy Board in Slayton. And this morning was the JD 36 joint meeting with Brown County. That completes my report.
I missed one.
Did you miss one,
I
Patty?
did. I missed the NACO
Thank you, Kevin.
regional meeting.
Oh, okay.
I missed my
Phone call?
Yeah.
Regional, okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Kevin and Patty, for that extra. Most of the stuff that I was at was already mentioned, the JD 36. Mark and I were up at MICA. Planning and zoning, we already heard. Mayors and clerks. JD 9 redetermination of benefits over in Winnebago. Just a public meeting. And then I was out to the governor, see the governor out at the dam. And last night I had MVAC meeting, and things are going really well there. Got a couple new board members and a couple people that have retired. That's my report. There's no further business to bring forward the good of this order. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. We stand adjourned. How about 10:45? Is that too much, too fast?